Hey everyone, it is the 20th of January 2023 and we're headed into the rose garden. You'll see a lot of work has happened this past week, even with all the rain that we've had. In Southern California, we've had 6 inches of rain so far, and you can even see that boa is exhausted and is stretching out in the sun. We even had a little bit of mist yesterday, but it's been pretty wild this year for rain in January, about twice the average. So everything is pretty well soaked. We've got the bearded iris in the corner looking good, and the cherry tree. All the roses are the ones that were cut back early on in November. Those were, or early December rather, those are all leafing out really nice. You can definitely see a lot of the scilla that we talked about last week coming up. There's a whole mess underneath that plum tree here. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get my shadow too much into the scene. The mugo pine is looking fantastic. The foxglove, the hollyhock. Looks like Bo has decided to get in the planter as well. That's cool. Here's the Leonotis that is now leafing out, and I'm so happy. It looks like it's made the transplanting. Over here, we've done a lot of work this past week. First of all, let's take a look at the border. Now wraps all the way around here to the right. And the irises, that big jumble of irises that were here, I dug those up yesterday, cleaned them out, did 5 big clumps around that thuya, and that is thuya. It's an arborvitae. Emerald green is the variety, and of course it's next to the new crabapple tree. Added a whole bunch of topsoil to the ground because it was definitely low in this area, especially after getting the old apple tree out. Added another osmanthus to balance things out, and dropped in a rose here. This is fragrant plum, so I'm kind of excited to see what that flower is going to be and if it is indeed fragrant. This is a bicolor, so you have kind of a dark purplish on the outside and then a white interior. We've got Shasta Daisy. Looks like it's about to open up. That should be a double. We'll see in a few days. And then I moved some of the roses around here. The rose that was originally in this location, when I made the bricks, it was really, really close. So I went ahead and did some swapping. So this rose that was there got moved to over here. So this is Judy Garland. It's Floribunda multi-color. That'll be a nice little entrance rose. And then the rose that was here, again, it was way too close to the brick, so I needed to move it back anyway. This is Rio Samba. I moved it back over here. And then over here was Perfect Moment. And I've had this in a container for at least a year. It's got, again, kind of a bicolor blend, gold and red. And also, I wanted to point out too, I mean, this is January 20th. Look at all those irises blooming. And I'm really surprised that they did well with the transplanting. I tried not to disturb them. And of course, the weather here is really, really cold for us. Yesterday did not even get to be 60 degrees. And today it's right around 60, nighttime temperature around 40. And I was worried with some very light frost that, you know, I was worried that something might be damaged, but doesn't look like anything is. Foxglove looking great. Sandback jasmines, all keeping their color. Most of the roses leafing out beautifully. New purchases this week. I got a rose. Not a rose. I did get a rose. I got the fragrant plum, but I got a fern, and I'll show you that because that's in a shaded area. Still haven't put the carnation in. The blatilla bulbs are just coming up now. So I'll walk you across the yard here. We'll head over to the magnolia first, and that's looking really, really nice. And those are society garlic. That needs to be cut back. False heather, false heather. The diosmus coming into bloom. It's also called pink breath of heaven. More society garlic. And that hasn't been cut back in a couple of years. But look at the color on that dianthus. And that's about the second or third year of that plant. Needs to be cut back, needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but I thought that was just an outstanding bloom. We've got the lavender and a dwarf eugenia in the back. Here's another view of those leucojum. We can also look at the oxalis blooming. And the fern that I got was really cool. I was at San Gabriel Nursery this week, and when I walked through the different beds that they've got, I always try to look for some outstanding plants, and this one just really jumped out at me. Thought it was really beautiful. Not sure on the variety of the fern, but it will go in the shade garden nonetheless. And I also spotted the pomegranate I want to get for this particular location. Hopefully I'll pick that up this week, if not next week. That'll come from Covina Garden Center because they have some product and some beautiful 10-gallon containers that were, or 15-gallon actually, that were looking really good and very reasonably priced. Sometimes in the nursery business, you can get a couple years of growth on some of those plants and still get a good price on an older plant that's not terribly root bound or anything. So I also got to go up in the rain and prune the apple tree. This is Anna apple. And I'm about halfway done with the macadamia. You can see it's got a lot of top growth still, but just getting up there is a pain. And also, you know, where do you put it once you cut it? Because most places are restricted on how much you can throw away. It's how much you can fit into the barrel and such. But bite-sized pieces is all we can do. So that is the rose garden for this week. And I will see you next week with another video.